coaches and pros, the X's and O's. This is the best what we do, what we know. So let's go. Yo, what's up? What's up with my people? Y'all, what's going on? Rivalry week in college football just got finished taking place this week. It was fantastic. It was phenomenal. Round of applause for everybody that made it to their conference championship game. Shout out to the people that didn't. There's some scary teams that didn't make the conference championship. I wonder before we even get up into the show, man, make sure y'all hit that like, share, subscribe button, man. If you're new to the channel, share it. Subscribe, man. Yes, sir. I'm trying to get to 6,000 subscribers. Getting closer. Thanks to the help of you guys, man. I'm getting closer to my million views. So shout out to y'all out there tuning in. For real. So college football this week. It was rivalry week, right? The last week, and there was a lot of games that took place. Shocked me that SMU could not close the door on Cal. I would have hit the lottery had they done it. Dang, they didn't do it. They couldn't get it done, but that was a tough game, right? There was a lot of them that should have been a lot better, and some eyes, some blowouts, some not. I wonder if it's even worth it though to even get into your conference championship game, because it seems that you get a bye week before the playoffs start. So either way it go, right? So if you do win your so if you don't win the conference championship game and you go to the conference championship game, I wonder if you still get that bye week. I got to look into that. I think you do. I think they take a little pause before the playoffs start. You know what I mean? But is it worth it, right? Because you still get in, you get a little bit of rest, maybe even more rest. You know what I mean? Should have been more researched on it, but it just popped in my mind as I'm recording right now. So I'm thinking, I'm like, is it worth it? Of course it is to a lot of teams, such as Indiana, such as G5 programs. They need that game in order to get into the playoffs, right? And not to say that Indiana does, but, you know, it means something to them. Historically, they have never had an undefeated regular season. So shout out to Indiana finishing the regular season and Kurt Signetti doing the dang on thing. Texas A&M, they lost to Texas, and that's still a really good football team. But I think Texas exposed some things with Texas A&M, right? They just couldn't get past Texas. Texas big dog them. That was another win. I didn't think it was an upset, but I thought that Texas A&M might hold on. So shout out to Texas for pulling that off. The SEC is full of teams that I think that should be the college football playoff should be SEC loaded. If you're looking at the SEC, the same one that I'm looking at between the Big Ten and the SEC, those conferences have really played excellent ball. The college football is getting better as an entirety. It's just as a whole. As a whole, it's just getting better, period. And but yes, the SEC, Vanderbilt, teams like Vanderbilt, they deserve to be in the college football playoff. I think that Vanderbilt can play with anybody out there. Would their defense keep up? But but their offense is rolling. Diego Piava is absolutely a problem at quarterback. He's an absolute running threat, opens up the passing game because you have to load the box to try to stop Alexander or Diego Piava, keep a spy on him. So somebody's always open in that offense, so what defense are you running? I seen that Tennessee was trying to, sit in zone on him a lot, and they absolutely chewed that up. And you had to sit in zone because you had to have somebody close nearby the line of scrimmage, one of your linebackers, to try to, cover at the same time as being a spy. And if you're going to spy, then he moves with him. That still opens up leaves a hole in your defense. And, zones do that anyhow. But it's just so confusing to try to, account for Diego Piava. And he's playing with some elite guys over there. Clark Lee's done a phenomenal job over there at Vanderbilt. Must give it to him. But man, there's a lot going on, and there's so much to say, man. Where do I start? Right? Where do I start? So I guess we'll start with Utah and Kansas, and then we'll just get into the other games. You know what I'm saying? We'll just get into the talk of the other games as it goes on, because Utah and Kansas, watching that game, right? I was like, I thought that Utah would handle Kansas a lot better. Outscore them a lot more. So shout out to Kansas for playing them tougher than what I thought. Lance Leopold has done a phenomenal job with him and keeping Jalen Daniels at quarterback. I don't think that he's a pro prospect. He has a lot to work on. He does have the ability to run, and I think that there his speed, it may get him some looks, maybe a undrafted look or something like that. Their season's over, so I guess we can talk a little bit about where players might land just a little bit. I'm not going to get too much into that and hog up a whole nother episode. I'm sure that I'll do, but Jalen Daniels in this game was 10 for 27, 187 yards, one touchdown. He threw 3 interceptions. You shouldn't win a game like that. But although they lost the game by 10, you're not going to win a game, but 3 turnovers, 3 interceptions. It's just easy to analyze like that, right? That's an easy analyze the game. Daniel Highshaw, he ran perfectly. And if it wasn't for the 2 backs and LaShawn Williams and Highshaw in that game, it kind of leaves questions like, okay, what would have happened? You know what I mean? What would have happened, right? And it's crazy to say that. And, but Utah, because I think LaShawn Williams and Highshaw both had over 100 yards in that game, against Utah. They absolutely destroyed them, that 1-2 punch. And Utah has been showing some vulnerabilities in their run defense lately. Even though they're trying to give them different looks and stacking the line, and there's a couple of teams out there that's doing that. So you'll hear me say that often because they're giving different looks on the line, or bare front, putting 4 guys up there, showing 6, dropping 2. With a stunt on it. They're doing all kinds of things like that now, and I'm starting to see that later on in the year. Maybe that's, and it's not everything, but I'm seeing some of these good teams do that. But we'll get to talking about it because, yeah. But Utah, but Devin Perry, he's been playing a great game, man. If he just stays consistent and he progresses through the years, he's definitely going to be a high draft pick, most definitely. I think he can spin the ball. He definitely shows that great. He definitely runs the ball well, for sure. And he's a threat in running the ball and passing it. He was Devin Dampier in this game. He was 15 for 25, 253 yards, and he had 3 touchdowns in the game. Shout out to him. Wayshawn Parker had 12 carries, 95 yards in the game. That's the running back for Utah. And he threw the ball and he shared the ball well. Larry Simmons got involved. JJ Buchanan got involved. Their tight end, Wayshawn Parker, also got involved at the passing game in that game against Kansas. It was a tough game. I mean, the 10 points, I can't say that the 31-21 final score did not show what the game was actually like watching the game. You know what I mean? It just wasn't it. It was a lot tougher. I thought that maybe Kansas, running the ball. Why did they get away from it? You can't. You have to know when Jalen Daniels is just up. I mean, he was 10 for 27 in the game with 3 interceptions. You just can't win like that. All he has to do is manage the game. Don't have to play hero ball. If he didn't play hero ball, I think they may have beat Kansas. I mean, not Kansas, excuse me. I think Kansas would have beat Utah had he not played hero ball. He would have went out there managing the game because, that's what you need to do sometimes, even with all that running ability. But Utah, they finish off their regular season, a 10-win team that probably won't get into the playoffs. And there's a couple of those in the Big 12. You got Texas Tech. We'll probably get into that. Utah, um, and BYU. Those are all 10-win teams. And to be honest, I don't even think you could count that many 10-win teams in the and we'll get there in the ACC. But so that just goes to show you where the Big 12 is at. And when you got 10 wins in college football, that's not easy to do. But there's not 16 spots yet. So there's only 12, and only 12 will get in. So yeah, it's tough. But Utah, do they deserve to be one of the teams? I don't know, man. These past couple of weeks, just looking at their run defense, people has been absolutely carving that team up, running the ball. It was Kansas State the week before. They won that game, barely, but he broke a record on them. You know what I mean? Almost ran 300 yards on them. And same thing happened, but it was just two running backs this game, and Williams and Highshaw. So, I don't think so. I don't think they can hang with some of them teams that can run the ball well. So I don't know. But they are 10-win teams. So shout out to the Big 12. But shout out to Utah and Kansas in that game, man. Great game. Great game. The next one, man. The next one we got up is Ole Miss and Mississippi State. Of course, Ole Miss was supposed to win this game. Lane should not. I don't think Lane should move on from Ole Miss, because I think what he's built there is his own. He's not following behind Urban Myers. He don't have to go to Florida to be Urban Myers. He don't have to go to LSU to try to outbeat Nick Saban, or what Nick Saban started over there at LSU, or with Brian Falk try to outdo what Brian Kelly did. The expectations in Ole Miss is just what he is, right? He doesn't have to worry about any of the past coaches at any of these big jobs that's opening up. He's built something good at Ole Miss. Ole Miss is as good as it is right now, and the way that they're playing football is fantastic. I don't think that he has to, move on from what he's done and what he's doing right now at, Ole Miss. It's perfect. So shout out to Lane Kiffin. Before we even get into their game, because the coaching changes. Like I said, we will be talking in between, me talking about the games and trying to, recap the games. I'll give a little bit of, what I think about what's going on with that program and whatever else. But yeah, I don't think that Lane needs to leave at all. I mean, they're 11-1. They're going to the college football playoff. They're in the college football playoff. I don't know if Ole Miss will extend him. I mean, let's face it, Oxford, there's not that much to do, but the expectations are he'll probably lose. Like, he reloaded. He lost some players last year to the point where we were questioning would they even be where they're at right now. Excuse me. We didn't know. We had no idea that Lane Kiffin would have Ole Miss sitting where they are right now. And it's just not him, it's staffed over there. But we had no idea the Ole Miss group of coaches would have them sitting where they're at right now at 11-1, and what they had moved on from with last year. Chris Paul Jr. I think then they had Ume Milan. They still got his little brother, but he was there. Walter Nolan, I believe. Wasn't Walter Nolan there at Ole Miss last year? Yeah, he was there. There's a few guys that moved on. Trey Harris, what big wide receiver. Couple of guys that could have been Wells, Juju Wells. We could go on and on, because the list of players that left Ole Miss last year, and then what he's brought in this year, what he's built there, recruiting wise, it's sitting at 11-1. I don't think that now is it going to be, but see, it being in the SEC, is it going to be, this is what Ole Miss fans always going to want? They're always looking forward to Ole Miss being 11-1, or would they be happy with Ole Miss being a 8-win team, 8-9 win team in the SEC, um, possibly, getting into the playoffs, a 10-win team. You know what I'm saying? Because I do think if they up at the 16 teams, you can't hold out a 9-win Big Ten or SEC team. But the way that college football is going now, period, if you got 9 wins sitting in your conference, depending on your losses, you probably still have a shot to make the playoffs. You know what I mean? Um, the way that it's going, depending on the wins and the losses around college football. That's what I said, right? But it's amazing, but getting into the game, I mean, not too much to talk about. I mean, Trinidad Chambliss played lights out, 23 for 34, had 359 yards, 4 touchdowns in the game. Kewan Lacey, 27 carries, 143 yards, had a tutty to go with that. Deuce Alexander was the lead receiver in the game, 2 catches for 94 yards. Caden Lee was all over the field that game. This number 19, a receiver for Ole Miss, all over, back and forth, very clutch, came in moments. You know what I mean? That seemed to be Trinidad's guy out there that particular game. I will say that Kamario Taylor, what Mississippi State is building is also, I think they're moving up. They're moving up because they played a lot of these teams really tough in the first half. I think depth is what Mississippi State might be missing, a little bit of depth, and plug in some of those um players, right? Some depth. They're going to need some depth in some of those positions to shore up that defense a little bit more. Get some more big guys on that O line, and I think that they'll be okay in the SEC because look, they played a lot of those guys tough in the first half. Um, I'm not sure what Blake Shapen was doing at quarterback. I mean, he's won some clutch games, um, and he's been around. But with Kamario Taylor back there, I think he's just more of a threat. And if they could have, he's a whole threat, a very very well. I mean, passing the ball like that, he was the leading rusher in the game. He ran all over Ole Miss in that defense. 20 carries, 173 yards. And I think he had 2 touchdowns. I think he had like 180. He was going off on the ground and in the air. But he did throw a pick in that game. But I think that some of that stuff will change. It's a true freshman at quarterback. These young quarterbacks are coming in college football and they're absolutely ready to take over. And I think what Mississippi State got and Kamario Taylor, and what they're building over there, they're 5-7. I think that they coming up, man. They coming up. Watch out. Watch out for that team, man. Um, they're gonna be good. That just goes to show you how even the SEC is starting to be, right. It is. It's starting to catch up. Those bottom teams are starting to catch up. You might be able to catch your L's. Some of them bottom teams might be able to catch some of them top teams, and catch them on a bad day and give them a loss, right? That's just how it's rolling right now. And that's the way it's looking anyhow. Um, it's just not me. Sure, everybody else out there see it too, right? So, the next game, man, we got is Georgia and Georgia Tech. That was a good rumble. That was a good rumble on Black Friday. That was a good game. Georgia and Georgia Tech. I thought Georgia Tech played. They always play well. Brent Key did a phenomenal job with Georgia Tech. Um, and I did take Pitt to beat Georgia Tech, but that was just because of me, knowing the game, looking at both of these teams and the players they have, the talent they have on both sides of the ball. I just, thought that they would give them more of a problem. But Georgia is a more physical team, right? Pittsburgh got a little bit of finesse, but they do got some power in some of those positions. I think that Pat Narduzzi has to play and tinker with the roster. He just got to put the best player at the position that he has on the rosters, right? And I mean, it's hard to do. I don't know what's going on up there at Pitt or whatever, but I know that they got a talented roster full of some dogs. I do know that. Um, but they're not all on the field right now. So I mean, some people might say, well, if they're dogs, why are they out on the field? To me, That's whatever's Pat Narduzzi got going on. Maybe they're not ready for the system that he's running, that Randy Bates is running, a defensive coordinator or whatever. But there's some dogs over there. They got to get a heavier line in Pitt. Anyway, I was only talking about that because of Georgia Tech playing Georgia, and Brent Keys built a physical football team. And Georgia Tech, that is a very physical football team playing another physical football team in Georgia. Georgia just this year has recently acquired some wide receivers to us that looks like, okay, now it adds another dimension to this offense that was normally run heavy. You know what I mean? Tight end based offense. You're used to Georgia running the ball well, big offensive line, hitting their tight ends. And when they did throw the ball, their tight ends was their guys. Well, now Zachariah Branch he adds a totally down the field, all around guy. You know what I mean? Jet sweeps. You can send, you could put some dressing on a play, send them in motion, send them across the field on a drag, and he could just take one to that. Was very dangerous weapon to have in that Georgia offense, right? And I think that's what makes Georgia really, really dangerous. And they ain't lost since taking that out earlier this year, so they're dangerous. They are very dangerous. And I must say, Gunnar Stockton, he looked a little pedestrian in this game to me. He did, and I think Brent Key and the staff over there did a phenomenal job with making him look like that, because they could not get going in the air. And when you got guys, see, the thing was, and they just leaned on them. They played tough defense and they leaned on him. They leaned on that team, and it was just back and forth. It was 3 and outs. It was very boring game. I don't even think the first quarter came until like the second quarter in this game. For the average fan, it was boring, but for me, no. But when you got a weapon like Zachariah Branch, he stands out. He is the guy that's going to stand out, getting the ball in his hands. How fast he is, he's going to help open things up, and that's what happened in his game. Because he was the only wide receiver that got in there in the end zone. The only touchdown was him. Period. You know what I'm saying? Field goals. This game was based on field goals. But I think Georgia Tech did a great job playing them. I mean, they always playing well. Hayes King is Hayes King. Played a very tough Georgia defense, and I think he did decent in that game. Man, he turned the ball over, but so did Gunnar Stockton. They both threw a pick in that game. They just couldn't get the run game going. They was all over Hayes King in that game. They was not letting Jamal Haynes or Hayes King get anywhere near running that rock, and they did well. They did well on them. They did not get 300 total. They couldn't even get over 300, over 250 in a game with the total offense, and vice versa, man. I think they held Georgia to almost like they held Georgia to almost under 3. So I mean, it was a good game from both sides of the ball. Two good coaches, good coaching staffs, defensive coordinators in that game, and it came down to to just who had a little bit more talent in that game, and Zachariah Branch was the difference in this game. He was the difference in this game, and that's why Georgia went out and got him to hope that they can depend on him in a game when it gets this close. They have to have something else besides their power running and Nate Frazier. Even though I think Nate Frazier, he can catch out of the backfield too. It's just not a one-dimensional back, but you know what I mean? Like Zachariah Branch's speed is just uncanny. Like, it just is one of the fastest guys. And shout out to Georgia and Georgia Tech getting the job done. Good game, man. That was a good game. Very good game. Next one up, man, was the Texas and Texas A&M game, man. That game. Wow. I can't remember. I think I rolled with A&M in the game. I think I did. I didn't pick, but I picked on here, but I didn't pick on my card. And then That's why sometimes I say, I gotta give me some help, but making a pick because I knew that game was gonna be a good game. I wasn't sure. I knew that, and I said it. I knew that Texas had the defense to do it. I just didn't know where Eli was gonna be at in this game. I didn't think that he was going to be ready to face what A&M was going to try to do. I thought Mike Elko was probably going to try to make his day a little bit harder than what he did, right? And granted, he did make it hard, but I think Arch just made he the stat line don't look good, right? And he was only he only completed 14 passes out of like 30, and it just didn't look good, right? But he managed the game well, right? He just managed it like it wasn't there. Cool, you know what I mean? Then almost do one, you know, in the game. So and to say that to lead off with that, I was like, just Arch has been getting better throughout the year. He has been getting better. Do I think he's a pro right now? Absolutely not. I think he should come back another year. I think a lot of these guys should. If they had the chance to, they should absolutely come back. Absolutely. If they can, they should come back because going to the NFL unprepared is just something that I'm so tired of seeing these quarterbacks do, just rushing to get into the NFL. And if you do want to go to the NFL, don't expect to start. Some people always say if you're going to spend a first round pick on a quarterback, you got to start him. No, you don't. You got your guy. You have your guy. Get him there. They're not going to train you at the quarterback position in the NFL. So that's why you have to be ready to go there. Because if you're not ready, then you'll just be sitting around and then you'll go into a game and then people and then your family members would be mad at people like me that's going to, call out when you look bad out there on the field because you did not utilize all your years and moments in college football, and your time in utilize all your time in college football to work on your game. Whether it's your mental traits, whether it's your physical traits, your arm traits, whatever that may be, your footwork, um, whatever you need to work on before you go to the NFL. But then you got guys and some people out here too that are say, well, he's too old to play college football. Like, I wouldn't worry about that because I think honestly, a lot of guys who say that would be the same guys who would stay had they had the chance to stay in college football. They probably would have because you know what I mean. Like those are guys who, excuse me, I have yet to see a lot of successful NFL players say that guys are too old to be in college football. I mean, that some is very little, but then the guys that you see speak out on it a lot of the times are guys who were not successful at the pro level. Like, make that make sense. So there's a lot of guys that weren't successful at playing at the professional level of football, talking about guys are too old to be in college football. No, they're not. They're things that they need to work on. But that's why we're seeing the quarterback position. Like, why are we seeing professional quarterbacks that can't throw for 200 yards a game when you got guys like Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson and you got Brock Bowers and you got Tyler Lockett and you're like, why can't you? What are we doing? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what's going on? Like, you got DK Metcalf and Calvin Austin, Jonnu Smith, and Pat Firemouth all on one roster, and you can't get 200 yards out of it with those guys. Like, what's going on? What, like, you know what I mean? Like, and you see it a lot on every team. On a lot of teams, got Garrett Wilson on the team over there with the Jets, and the guys that's surrounding them in New York. Adonai Mitchell's over there now. He went off, but you know what I mean? Like, Why are quarterbacks in the NFL struggling to get 150 yards? That's because guys are moving too fast. Utilize your college time, right? This college is the time to be working on and getting. You're supposed to be getting trained as a quarterback and developed as a quarterback, but that's why some guys need to stay where they are or go to a program that you see quarterbacks are being developed at. Like, for instance, Oregon. Yes, Dante Moore has been developed under Dan Lanning. I don't care what anybody has to say. Pay attention to what's going on. Brian Kelly, he is like, regardless of what you want to say, he's been developing his guys. He's been trying to, you know what I mean? There's been some good guys that came from under him down at LSU. There's been some good quarterbacks. Regardless of what you want to say, Fernando Mendoza has played better. Um, he's right on cue, cursing that he's doing good. Um, there's teams and college teams, and there's even teams that you look at Tulane, North Texas. There's G5 programs that what we call them that develop quarterbacks. Like, you got to look at your position and want to go there to be developed. You don't want to go to there and say, okay, I know I'm gonna go to the NFL if I go here, but are you going to be developed? You know what I mean? And that's the most important thing. And I think, and I know, and I can see that a lot of players are not looking at their development over the bag. They rather have the bag over development. And you'll get the bag will always come. The bag will come if your development is there. Period. That's just how it's always going to work. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if your development is there and you're progressing every year, your NIL goes up, it goes up. Then eventually you'll get drafted. You'll still have brand deals and so forth and so on, and you'll be signing a huge contract. You know what I mean? It's just how it is. Like, so, I mean, a lot of these guys just got a ton of work to do. I think the guys that are coming out this year, I don't see. I think a lot of these guys that are coming out this year still need to work on their game. But if you're looking at guys who are ready to take over the realm, I don't think that there's really a guy that's there. But the closest guy that looks the closest, just off top of my head right now, is Fernando Mendoza. Um, just watch how he plays the game. Dante Moore does the same thing. Watch how they play the game. You just don't take my word for it. It's just what these guys look like on the field. But anyhow, I went off on a tangent there. Let me get back to this. Because yeah, I was shocked to see the way that Arch played, but he has been playing better. But Marcel Reed was 20 for 32 in the game. He had 180 yards, 2 interceptions. He didn't throw a touchdown in this game, which is crazy to me. And because you got all those weapons. Got Casey Concepcion, Mario Craver. You got guys. You got Nate the can't even pronounce the tight end's name over there, Barek or something like that. I don't even know it. But it's they got guys. You got guys. You got a nice receiving core over there. Um and he did get him the ball at times, and it just don't work out all the time. That run game was absolutely stomped. I think Texas they showed their hand. They showed Texas A&M hand. This is how you beat Texas A&M. We're gonna get after him. We're gonna cause problems. We're gonna stay in his face. We're just gonna harass him, and that's what they did. I mean, they didn't get to him a lot, but pushing the pocket in, making his off throw time, got his timing all messed up in that game, and I thought they did a great job, man. So shout out to Texas and then for that dub, man. Shout out to Texas for that dub. Great win, man. Great win. I don't think you get no better when you playing games like that, man. That was a great win by Texas. Great games. These games are only getting better because it's almost time to just, it's been time to put up or shut up. But this week has been phenomenal. Indiana handling business versus Purdue, 56-3. Say what you want about Indiana. You know what I mean? Well, I'll talk about the picks and the games in a minute here, but Kurt Signetti's just doing a great job. He's done a great job at turning that program around. This is what his second year there. Um, we didn't know if they was going to be able to, pick up where he left off. The way that he's built the culture there, the expectation level there at Indiana. Um, And I'm not even sure if Indiana fans, they have been bad for so long. Their expectations are like, okay, get us to a bowl game. You know what I mean? He's set where he's at. He don't have to go to Penn State. Don't have to worry about, the best Penn State ever was, or you know what I mean. And that's the worst thing, is us as fans of the game and the fans of these schools and colleges get so impatient with things that, things go awry. And I get it, some people have ample reason to be mad and upset about their schools not winning, their teams not winning. You know what I mean? You have the right to be that way. But Hoosier fans always been there with them, whether they were, they won 4 games one year, one game they showed up, supported the Hoosiers always, and now they're great. So I mean, out of the expectation, I don't know if the expectation level moves up too much in Indiana of them wanting to be always on top. They want a formidable team to put out in the Big Ten, to not get slaughtered every year, and to be able to, pull off some W's, at least to win a rivalry game, and go to some bowl games every year. You know what I mean? I don't know. I would love to hear from a Hoosier fan, but that's what I would think. So they've been bad for a while, very long time, very long time. Even with Kurt Signetti's wins, all the wins that he's got in the past 2 years, and that program still, has that program under 500, totally history. That's how many losses that program has. Right. That's just what it is. So it's crazy. Okay, so yeah, but they got the job done versus Purdue. Brought home in the rivalry game 56-3. Got it done. And like I said, man, I don't think that you could say so much about Fernando Mendoza. You could say so much about them. They could win so many different days, so many different ways, and they got his little brother, Alberto Mendoza. He'll have him next year. They didn't even throw the ball much in this game. I kept it at a minimum. Just played good defense. Robin Hemby had a day. Kalon Black had a day. Alberto Mendoza showed his wheels in that game. He had a good day. Both of the Mendoza brothers did. And that's just pretty much it, what they did. I mean, it just was one of them games defensively. And they're doing what they're supposed to do with opponents. It's crazy, because Purdue will probably tell you, you if you could hear from a Purdue player right now, I'm almost sure that they'll tell you Indiana is probably the best team that they play. And I'm just, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. We'll see though. We'll see. It's time for them to play. It's time for them to put up or shut up. Still in there. Arizona beating Arizona State. I absolutely knew that could happen. That's why I asked for y'all help, because I knew that can happen. I told y'all they had the best pass defense, one of the best pass defenses in college football. Um, I'm actually upset that Arizona. I feel some kind of way that Arizona won't be in the, and they won't be, in the college football playoff, because had they won some games, they got on this run late. They got on this run late. And that hurt Arizona, man. Them getting on this run late absolutely hurt them. It did, because this team, this Arizona team, is a well-rounded team. It is it is better than last year's Arizona team. Obviously, right? Record wise, no. Yeah, they have proven it record wise, but just Brent Brennan, what he's built defensively is a decent run. That they do decent with the run, good enough with the run, but they're absolutely shut down pass wise. One of the best pass, they're the best in the Big 12 when it comes to pass defense. And I thought that Sam Levitt may make a difference in this game, and I was right. And I was right, because if Jeff Sims was going to play This Arizona team, they were not going to have a chance at beating them. And I had a feeling he's not ready, and not everybody is. You know what I mean? Not everybody is. Does not mean that he won't get a shot at the next level and then shock some people because he didn't do that good in college. There's been some guys that go from zero to hero, they're hero to zero. This is how things work. But no, Favita played. I mean, he facilitated the ball, did not turn the ball over as a quarterback, got to his guys, and played ball. Chris Hudson, though, I tell you, he's a problem. He's a problem. I can't wait to see who they're going to match up with in the bowl game. I can't wait to see it because Arizona's on fire. And I hope guys do play in them games. But Jeff Sims just, I mean, 3 interceptions. I'm telling you, this defense is really good. That pass defense at Arizona is really good. They're a top 10 pass defense in the country. I don't know. I think those 3 interceptions in that game, you may probably even put them in the top 5 of what they just did versus Arizona State. And I'm not just saying that to say that because I've been keeping up with this team and this defense. But they beat Arizona State 23-7 in that game. And I tell you what, man, they're Kenny Dillingham. They escaped 8-4. They finished off strong, better than what I thought they would. Arizona's 9-3. Good game. Good game. Ohio State beating Michigan 27-9, and Ohio State remaining undefeated is just, it's great, right? Because I tell you what, winning a national championship ain't easy. Yeah, they did it 10-2 last year. Actually, 12-2 because they played throughout the playoffs. So they was 12-2 last year, and then they're 12-0 now, and they're looking like can't nobody beat them. They're just doing it slow, methodical, and playing ball. And look, Julian said like Michigan had them going to the bag. Winky had them going to the bag. Shout out to Winky over there. He had them going to the bag against Michigan. That defense at Michigan had I think they went into the bag on Michigan to pull it off. And look, Michigan ain't got nothing to hang their hat on this year. I thought that young team played that veteran that Ohio State team very well. I think so, man. So I don't think that, I know this rivalry is much hated. I don't have no dog in this fight, but watching that game, I'm like, I know that they got 7 freshmen starting for Michigan offensively. I can't remember how many freshmen they got on defense, but I know that Michigan is one of the youngest teams in college football, sitting in the Big Ten. Played Ohio State very well. I think they played them very well. They're finishing off in the Big Ten. Michigan is finishing off 9-3 in the Big Ten, and they're not done. They are not done. They're going to be a problem. Michigan is going to be a problem. Next year, I'm looking for Michigan to definitely make a leap next year. They definitely got to get some. I still think they definitely got to get a little bit of just a couple of pieces. And man, this team is just going to it's going to take off. Bryce Underwood is like once they take the training wheels off this guy, let this guy play. This was the game right here, and I think they tried to, because he threw the ball almost 20 times in this game, but you gotta they should have taken it. The training was off of him early, and they managed well. Like you see that he's not going to try to force the issue. He did throw a pick in his game, but this is versus a defense that he has to see. You know what I mean? He had to see this defense, right, to see how this game is played, right? Now, you're going to see a totally. I hope we see a totally different quarterback out of out of Bryce Underwood, and I'm almost going to say that you will, right? You will. I think you will see a different Bryce Underwood. The people that that he keeps around him, you can tell that he keeps some good guys around him. Him coming into college football this year and doing what he has done and leading that team where he's led that team. Now, regardless of what the wins they got, I don't care what teams they beat. They won games. It's tough to win anywhere in college football. I don't care what conference you're in. To be 9-3, I don't think that Michigan fans got nothing to hang their hat on. But if you're an Ohio State fan, you're ecstatic, and you should be, because I don't think nobody can beat that team. I just don't. I don't know. I don't know. But the way that they give up the run spotty, and you're seeing that a lot with these teams. I don't know what the fit is. And that's where Indiana separates a little bit. Excuse me, between these other teams. And I'll talk about that later. I'll talk about that later, because you're seeing these teams give up this run and these spotty runs, and you're like, what's going on? This just ain't the same. You know what I mean? Like this, this ain't the same. Because you got to remember, like, they held this Ohio State team they absolutely won a quarter. Regardless of what you want to say, because the coaches play this game about a quarter. That's why they be like, we ain't got time. The coaches play. We watch the game as an entirety. Coaches play about a quarter. We got 15 minutes to do this. We got this much time to do this. We got, and this is what we're doing. That's what smart, good coaches do, right? I've been paying attention to this game. I research. I do my due diligence. They won the first quarter of this football game. Michigan did. Other than that, Ohio State got it together. Those coaches got it together, got their game plan ready. They absolutely shut them out the rest of the game. They did not score on any touchdown. You know what I mean? And that's what you want out of that. You want to absolutely shut them out in the second half, even if they only scored 10 points. On the road, shut them out, made the adjustments, and that's what you want. So shout out to Ryan Day, man. Shout out to him, man. Like that dang, man. Like he's finally getting respect. It's crazy, because I think he was talked about being on the hot seat last year before they won the national championship. Now he's 12-0. Ain't that something? Florida, Miami beating Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh. The way once again Pittsburgh takes an L like this. I don't know. Is it time for Pittsburgh to get coaches? Is it time for Pittsburgh to get some new coaches in their regime? I don't know, because look, I tell you what, Pat Narduzzi getting up there talking about the way that he talked about he didn't care if Notre Dame scored 100 on that team. Like, those linebackers, you can't talk to that team like that. Do you? I mean, are you in tune with your players? Like, and I know that's old, and should have spoke on it, but like, are you in tune with your players though? You know what kind of dogs you got on your team? Like, they don't want their coach going up there and looking like a fool like that, talking like that. I think Pitt is going to bounce back. I mean, they're always going to have some linebackers there. I just hope that that they keep the guys that they got on that roster around, and that he's going to let some of that young talent play. And notice that there's the true freshman quarterback that you had out there. Yeah, there's a lot of other young talent on that team that should be playing, that can outplay some of them seniors and those juniors. Just got to put the best on the field. I mean, that's just what it is in college football. I get it. That's what this is. It's not the professional level, and the only way these guys can get that in-game experience is by putting them on the field. They're showing up. They're better than them. It is what it is. But to get beat 38-7 at home, I knew it can happen with this Miami team, and they did exactly what I thought they would do. Pitt's weak. That they went out there and shout out to them. Yeah, they ran the ball, and they ran the ball well on Pitt, and I knew that they could run them. But I was surprised that they actually got 140 yards on Pitt. They normally only average like what 100, and before Notre Dame game, they were only giving up like 81 yards. They had like the best run defense in the country. Period. Don't care about the team's stats is what all I'm saying. Statistically, they had it right, and I mean even on film, they were really stingy with it, right? The best running back for Miami wound up being a freshman quarterback. They struggled with a fast guy. It wasn't even the power runner, even though Fletcher did get in there, but it wasn't him. Fletcher was only averaging he was averaging 3 yards. I mean, Pringle was in there. He did what he wanted to do. He was getting like 10 yards a carry. Threw the ball well. Carson Beck threw the ball well. Had a phenomenal game. Don't care what you say. Yeah, he threw a pick, but he had a great game. Great game. You know what I mean? He just did in that game, and that's their weak area. They definitely got to shore up some of those DBs back there. That's the problem. I thought that some of the younger legs in the DB position need to be out there. But hey, I'm not running that team. Not sure. I think Reed got to suffer with an injury. The running game for Miami did absolutely. They did a phenomenal job stopping Pitt's run game, and that made them one dimensional. And depending on a freshman quarterback, I thought that they showed some different looks for Mason Heichel, and I thought he did okay, right? What Miami was throwing at them and how talented they are. But this is the Miami team that I thought Miami was. To put a good Pitt team away like that, 38-7. You know what I mean? And this is a team that I think that people don't want to see in there, right? They're dangerous. Miami's a dangerous team to get into the playoffs. They are because they're going to go all out. Going to go all out, and they got the guy. They really have the team to win. They do. I'm not shocked at what they did to Pitt. I knew they could do it. They should not have any losses, man. I keep saying that, but shout out to Miami, man, pulling off that win, man. Great game. Putting Pitt away like that, man. That's how you get it done. So the Texas Tech beating Virginia 49-0. West Virginia, I knew that would happen. Texas Tech, they just problems. Jacob Rodriguez showed up. That team is one of the better teams in the country. I think that team can play with anybody. They just can. They're a well-rounded football team, man. Every position. And when you play like that, see, Texas Tech has the talent, right? And they when they play, they beat for West Virginia 49-0. So I like that. UCF lost to BYU. They guys, they played them a lot better than what I thought. They been beating them 14-0 at one point in the game. BYU had to come back in this game, and they did, and they scored 41 on them. And and to see Kalani Sitake's team do that in the way that they had to come back and do it with a true freshman quarterback at Beard Bachmeyer is because this team is they're just one of those fundamentally sound teams. And sometimes that outweighs talent. And I'm going to talk about that because I think you got that a lot going on throughout college football. Like some of these teams are just when you're just doing when you're doing what you're supposed to do and following the game plan and at your highest ability and giving all your effort, you win games. When you don't make mistakes and shoot yourself in the foot the way that Pitt did Miami, you win games. And I said Miami, I'm an outsider looking at this Miami team. If Miami played the disciplined ball, they will continue to win. Excuse me to jump over a game, but they will win. That's what happens. And Pitt played a sloppy game, but BYU they played a great game. Great comeback. UCF hung in there like dogs. I think they got something good moving. Look forward to. We'll see what happens. But Kalani Sitake did it again. 41 points. Can't give up 21 versus UCF, but they came out tough fire. They started slow, slept walking that game, got it together. Shout out to BYU getting it done. Oregon beating Washington 26-14. I thought that was important for them to win that rivalry game that way because I've been telling y'all about Oregon. Oregon is like we cannot forget that this team was an undefeated team last year into the playoffs. We can't. Because this is a team that this is one of the dangerous teams in the playoffs. Oregon, they're one of the most dangerous teams in the playoffs. I don't, man. Oregon just has to shore up the defensive line. Bear Alexander has to play his position like he knows how. Like just play it the way that the coach is writing it up, Bear. Trust the coach's instincts. Trust Tosh's instincts. Hit the gap, play the A gap as physical as you can, push your man back, draw the double team, let your guys eat. Because that is what's going to be noticed more than you trying to make a play. Because I mean, number one, I don't know if that's Bear or not, but number one, like he's not like. See, what happens is he's defensive line. I believe that's Bear, right? I believe so, right? But he's not standing here. He's not playing this gap assignment. He's always out of his assignment in the game, and it's like, why am I seeing this defensive lineman not rush? Why is he? See, he seems to be ad-libbing in the game, and you can't be ad-libbing in the game. You cannot afford to do that, Bear Alexander. Yeah, that's Bear Alexander. You cannot afford to do that. The stats is going to show itself. It's like a great team knows. A great coaches, the NFL is going to notice you taking on these double teams, opening up for these defensive ends. That's selfless ball. And if he can play selfless, if Barry Alexander can play selfless on that defensive line would they're going to the title game. They're going all the way to the title game. They are, and that's the one thing that I've seen in this Washington game, and I noticed it. And I noticed it, and I said, man, like if you just play your assignment, like you're getting out of the runs they had let up, like you're out, you're not in your gap. Like I get it, I like the effort, effort, but you're not in your gap. That's why Muhammad's breaking it right there. You know what I mean? We're going right up to C gap, like because you're not play your gap so your guy can fit. You're going to cause a problem. You're going to cause a double team. You're going to cause that 3-tech's job, defensive tackle, aka nose guard, is to cause ruckus, cause a pile up every play, cause confusion, push that guy back, draw the double team, make chaos in the middle. That's what that is. Tasmanian devil style, right there in the middle. That's his job. So everything else is clear for them linebackers to read, to fit those gaps. And if that's happening, that's good. But if that's not happening, that's the problem with this Oregon's run defense. And why Oregon's getting killed is because your 3-tech wants to do what he wants to freestyle instead of his gap assignment. Play your gap assignment. Do you want to win or do you want to lose? And then it's not all on him, but that's just that one thing I noticed. Oregon have to tackle better. You gotta tackle better. I hope them guys are, because they are a dangerous team. And I'm only picking because I like what this team is doing, but you got to tackle better. You got to shore up tackles. I don't know. I know it was a little cold, a little wet, whatever, but you got to wrap up. You guys got to finish your food. Y'all got the team to do it. It's all up to you on that defense. I got all the guys there. Wrap up your guy. You know, that's it. Because I tell you what, that's why these talented teams like Oregon and Ohio State and A&M and Texas Tech, they can play these teams like Indiana and BYU, and they can lose those games because BYU and Indiana, they're sound. They do they not only do they do complete their assignment and but they're always in the right spot. They're tackling well. They're wrapping up well. They're doing everything that you teach fundamentally in a game, and then now their talent and their skill is going beyond that. Then their talent and skill shows up while they're doing that. That's why those teams are good. That's why. But geez, like Oregon, they're so talented, man. That team is. It just really is. Like I mean, they got like far as size and speed. Out of their bigs, like I don't, it's tough to say that anybody and that anybody that's going to be in the playoff got a team like that, far as size and speed. To be honest, all the way around. And I'm sure there's a couple of professionals out there that say that. But if these guys play, like if they get it together and they say, we're a team, we're a brotherhood, we're for fun, we're going to complete the assignment over everything. Assignment, alignment, and gaps. If Oregon does, they just complete that, man. That team is unstoppable. Unstoppable. Cannot stop that team. But that's why you get these other good teams. And I had to say something about that because Dante Moore, but he played a great game, man. He played great. Phenomenal in that game against a good Washington team that I think that Jad Fish could have had. That team could have easily been a 10-win team this year, head into the playoffs, but they're 8-4. Unfortunately, I think that the schedule had a lot to do with that decent tough schedule. All right. LSU almost coming up with the dub with Oklahoma. The Oklahoma barely escaping LSU. The thing is that they beat LSU. LSU is a good football team. I'm not gonna let the record of LSU, look at this game and look at Oklahoma, because before the season started and you looked at, and then you were an Oklahoma Sooner fan and you looked at the schedule preseason and you seen LSU on your schedule, you was like, oh my, that's gonna be a tough game. You know what I mean? And to win that game, not only defensively, and do what you did to that team, but Maytear stepped up when he needed to. He showed true leadership. Now let's hope that he can carry over what he did late in that game and bring it into the playoffs, because this team literally, and I'm going to say this team is going to go as far as John Maytear takes it. Because everything else with Oklahoma, it's hard to see a flaw in this team. It's hard. I think LSU did everything they could. They went out there swinging at this team. They went out there scratching down, clawing. They went out there and they battled with this team. This was a heavyweight fight. I think they did. I mean, to not have what they had, to have the score like that, it was a defensive game, back and forth. But Maytear led this team. He can't turn the ball, and mind you though, in this game though, and then another thing about this game that I don't know, a lot of people talk, they had, normally I would be sitting here telling you can't turn the ball, you can't throw 3 interceptions and win a football game. But that happened. They threw 3 interceptions and still won a game. This is a tough team. Oklahoma Sooners, man. Shout out to y'all, man. That is a good football team. Scary good. Yes, they are. They are scary good. And they're going to go as far as Mayterre takes them. And I can't wait to see it. But Vanderbilt and Tennessee. Vanderbilt playing Tennessee, man. I thought this game was great for Piava to come back and to play the way that he did in this game. Like I said, he's so tough. And he's like, it's so hard to guard what he was doing. But Tennessee, they threw everything they could at him. Everything they could, man. They mixed up so much on him, man. Um, and that's also seeing LSU do that to Mayterre, and he caught on to that good and at the right time. But the tenant, like in this game, they tried to mix up everything, try to set the zone, try to send the spy. They just cannot stop him. Now, granted, did they have the team to do it this year? I don't think. They'll probably be back next year, and that's another one of those teams that with some young players, I think that they'll be back around. Tennessee will be back around. You know what I mean? The players they got there, they got some talent that'll be bouncing, coming back late. They finished off 8-4, and Vanderbilt being a 10-2 team, I do think that they deserve to be up in there, college football playoff. But that's me. And they did turn the ball. And he threw 2 picks. Piava did, but I still think he played great. Still do. I mean, he had 165 rushing yards to go with the 268 that he threw for. And Alexander, like, he beat Tennessee almost in single-handedly. Like, he's a problem, but he's been doing that to a lot of people. And Joey Aguilar, man, coming from Appalachian State, played a great game. 300 yards, touchdown in the game. Didn't get help from some of his receivers at times. I mean, and look, Vandy was they was all up in his face. They just harassed him the whole time. Pressures, sacks. Vandy was just there, just getting at him in that game. And man, it was, for a minute they hung there, but then Vandy just pulled away. And they wound up beating Tennessee 45-24. So shout out to Vandy, man. See what happens, man. I think they deserved. I think you gotta let a Vandy in or Miami, and Miami being at 12. I think you gotta let them in because I don't know if a G5 gets in. And I'm gonna tell y'all why at the end as soon as I get done with the rest of these games. Right. Virginia being Virginia Tech, I knew that they can do that. Great year for them, man. Great year for Virginia, man. They deserve to be where they're at. Played great. Don't think that I don't know. They've been in there with some, fighting, and they've been really resilient. And they did that's a Virginia Tech team that should have been better, but nobody expected Virginia to be this way, man. So shout out to Virginia, man. Beating them. Nobody expected that. Nobody. SC playing at UCLA, they beat UCLA 29-10, and they did it toughness, and they showed toughness in this game. So SC, I really like Jaden Monvia, man. I do, man. I like the kid, man. The dude is a beast, man. I think so, man. I'm really on that train, man. That Jaden Monvia, man, 21 for 29 in a game, 257, 2 touchdowns. I don't know if Lincoln Riley leaves, man. I don't know, man. Yeah, they 9-3. They finished off 9-3. Oh, I don't know if you leave, man. I don't know because if there's 16 teams, this team is one of them that's definitely getting in, man. You got guys that's just going to show up every game. These guys, I think all these guys could come back too for another round because that team is a good team. And see, they got to get better on defensively. That's it. Show up that defense a little bit more. I don't know if there's, I don't know if there's too much they can do to that offense. I mean, the offensive line, if you can get better there or get some depth there, then sure, take the depth at the O-line position. But man, The offense is great. One of the better offenses in the college football, if you ask me, from the eye test, not statistically, but from what you're saying and what they put on film, what they could do well roundedly. I like what SC did, man, and they beat UCLA 29-10. Got the job done, and Nico in this game, I think Nico was all right. Was 27 for 38, 200 yards, had a touchdown, didn't turn it over in this game. Um, and he still got another year, and he should play another year, right? Because I mean, let's say the don't know if it'll be at UCLA, but we'll see who's the head coach there and what happens there at UCLA, because I think that that team was a good team too. I think they could have been a lot better than what their record is. There's a lot of teams that record don't show actually who they really are. I mean, you got Colorado, UCLA, Penn State, a lot of teams. But that's just how college football is. You got to be ready. You got to come out there. You got to do what you need to do. And if you're not doing that, then tell the teams that are talented and the teams that are doing what they're supposed to be doing and doing it at a high level. And that's the difference with these teams. These guys are bought into their systems, and these guys know what they're doing. These quarterbacks know what they're reading. And so forth and so on. They know what they're reading. They know their plays. Alabama, coming out and beating Auburn, 27-20. Look, I gotta commend Alabama for coming out with this one. No, I wasn't sexy, but this Auburn team, I've been telling about y'all for the past couple weeks. I've been, recapping these games and looking at this Auburn team, and I've been telling y'all this defense is better than what y'all think it is. That quarterback position is what was the problem with Auburn. I'm telling you, they went through what Oklahoma went through last year. Had the Jackson Arnold Blues. And that's just, I mean, I'm just being honest. I hate that, it's just the truth. Not hating on a kid or whatever. Like, I mean? Maybe you're good in a different system. I don't, you know what I mean? Maybe the talent is there. Maybe you gotta just, keep working, get better. Because what this quarterback showed in this game versus Alabama is that he should have been there. Had he been playing with Auburn the rest of the season, I don't know if Auburn would have been where they're at. I'm just being honest. I mean, I get it. This is a rivalry game. They're going to play them tougher. They're at home. But, man, like that offense played with spark. It ran well. And that's all you've been waiting for in that Auburn team, is the offense to run well and play consistently with this defense. To see this offense and defense marry together, and both had good games at the same time, and they're going to win more games. It just didn't happen, right? But Alabama fought back. And I think and that's the key though. And I'm saying that because Auburn's not a bad team at all. So whatever you got in your head right now about Auburn, get it out. Because Alabama, they just didn't. They had a record. Oh, they should have beat them. No, they played tough. It's a rivalry game. Good team. Came out 10-2. They going to the playoffs. Punched their ticket. A lot of adversity for Ty Simpson in this game, that he had to come out and he did not throw a pick. And that's the big thing. That is huge. That's huge, man. For him to play like that, for him to play the way that he played in this dogfight of a game, I don't care if he didn't throw for 300 yards in his 300 yards in this game. Don't care if he, has some incompletions in this game. Don't care. Didn't turn the ball over. Managed the game well. He's young. I mean, you're seeing a lot of these younger quarterbacks play better than a lot of these guys who probably be going to the league and next year, or looked at as going to the league this year early. The younger quarterbacks in college football has absolutely outplayed the upperclassmen quarterbacks. in college football. It has absolutely happened. Look around. Marcel Reed, Ty Simpson, Julian Sand. That's just 3 of them right there. And I think all 3 of those teams are playoff teams with freshman with young quarterbacks. With young quarterbacks. I don't know. I'm just saying. I don't know what's going on. Sometimes you might need to make that change there. Yeah, they are. They have done it. Charlotte losing to Tulane. Tulane took care of business versus Charlotte, beating them 27-0. Yeah, they absolutely had to handle business in that way, and I knew that they would. No doubt. Tulane's 10-2. I like Tulane. Getting in the college football playoff. I do. I like this team getting there, and the reason of being with Tulane, right, and the reason why I'm a little bit on this Tulane train is because you know they lost to Ole Miss, but they lost to UTSA, right? And losing to UTSA to me was like that, and I get it. That was a couple of weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken. That was before Halloween, or was it Halloween when they lost to UTSA? Should have never happened. And I think that's what keeps them out of the playoffs. To be honest, I think that's what keeps them out of the playoffs. Like look, and that's what my G5 thing is all about. Like, I think that loss keeps Tulane out of the college football playoff. And if you look around at and I get it, the American Athletic Conference has absolutely played ball. There's some good football games that conference has gotten some good wins. And I think that makes their conference the highest ranking conference because of the wins that they got in that conference, right? Alone. And to help with USF. But USF got blown out too. USF got manhandled a couple of times. And it's like, okay, I get that, but ain't you supposed to have an undefeated team in there? I'm not sure, but I'm mad that But anyway, let me talk about that here in a second before I get up out of here. SMU beating California. Losing to California, absolutely. I'm so mad about that. That should have never happened. Could have hit the lottery had that not happened. I don't know how SMU folded in this game, man. A late comeback, man. It's just can't happen, man. Cannot happen. I mean, you can't expect to always come back and like that in the game. I mean, that young quarterback just did what he wanted to do to SMU's defense, carved them up. He did a better job than what Carson Beck did against that SMU defense. Tore them up. I don't know what Cal's doing, but they're getting quarterbacks. Fernando Mendoza came from there. Now this young guy, I get Jaren. I don't even know how to pronounce his last name. Kiwi Sam Sagapalute. I don't know, but he's, man, lighting it up. So shout out to him because he was 31 for 40 in this game, 330 yards and 4 touchdowns. Did it on that SMU defense, carved them up. But they beat Miami, and it's like, what is going on? What is going on here? Unreal, man. Unreal, but great win for Cal, man. Great win for real. That was a great win for Cal, man. I got to give it to Cal on that one, man. That's a big, huge win for Cal. They manhandled them in this game. Straight manhandled them. Had them, straight up. I mean, they tried to make a late push in the fourth quarter, but it was too late after. It was just too late. It was too late for that. But Notre Dame took care of business versus Stanford, 49-20. Y'all know what Notre Dame gonna do, man. everybody knows what Notre Dame is going to do. Like it's not a surprise of what it's almost crazy. I mean, the game was over, you know, halftime. The game was over halftime, and it really was. I mean, got to recap it because they're a team and us in the college football playoff, and in the top 20 game. CJ Carr played a decent game. He was 17 for 27, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jeremiah Love and me, he had 14 carries, 66 yards, got a touchdown. Price had a touchdown. Ennis Williams, that's who they let carry the ball. 83 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, you got to let your other guys rest because Love, you're going to need him coming up soon. But Notre Dame is a team that don't nobody want. That's another team that's going to be tough. College football playoffs should be very, very good because these teams are tough. I think we're going to be good as long as now we're about to do the picks. As long as a G5 team don't get in, I don't think a G5 team deserves to be in to get in this year. I do not think a group of 5 team deserves to be in the college football playoff this year. I don't think so. I don't think so. I just do not think so. I think that it would have been if Memphis messed it up to me when they lost to UAB. Yes, I'm going to say that. UAB absolutely did a fantastic job ruining their season. Navy, are they in the discussion? No, they're not, right? So North Tulane has to beat North Texas to get in. If they lose to North Texas, right? I think that that's the highest ranking conference at this point. But then I think North Texas gets into the playoff, right? Is that how that goes? They're playing to get in, if I'm not mistaken, right? These two teams are playing to get in the college football playoff, but to me, I don't think a group of 5 gets in. I just don't think so. The losses that these teams have on their record, I don't think that you can let either one of these teams in there. It's almost unreal to sit there and let one of these guys get up in there, man. It is. It is. North Texas only got the one loss, but I think it was a tough one. I think they got blown out by USF. I think USF beat them by a lot, but that was a shootout they got in. But and I like both of these teams. I like North Texas or Tulane, but the losses that they got, Tulane lost to University of Texas San Antonio. You can't take that loss, and then you can't lose to a USF team that got that got 3 L's. You can't do that. You can't lose in your conference. Like, I mean, take them L's in your conference. And I get it, the conference is better. The American Athletic Conference is a lot better. It is. But that's why I think these guys need their own bracket. Because I just don't think that none of those teams and I like James Madison. I honestly think that you should give the seat to James Madison because they're undefeated in the Sun Belt. I think if you're going to give it to a team, I think it has to be that team. To be honest, I think you have to give it to them, man. If we're going to be all the way honest, when you're looking at them in the Sun Belt, they're undefeated. They're 11-1. They only lost to Louisville. It was a 14-point loss, but they're undefeated in their conference. And I mean, technically, they got Old Dominion. They're 9-3. They're like 6-2 in their conference. Troy's in there. Southern Miss is in there. But but they're undefeated in their conference, in their respected conference. So I think that I don't know if the committee is going to make that choice, but if I'm on there, that's the choice that I'm making. James Madison gets in. I can't put either one of you guys in there because likely Tulane is probably going to beat North Texas. I don't know because North Texas is a very young team. They're very good, very talented, play fast, spread out. But I just don't know if you could put those guys in there. from the American Athletic, and that conference is good, and I get it, but no G5 gets in. It has to. You gotta let a Vandy in or Miami in, or you know what I mean, or somebody, or even put two of those Big 12 teams in. Definitely two ACC teams. Two ACC teams in there at least. And you know what I mean? Because there's no way. There's just no way. I don't understand it. I don't. I just think that I honestly think the Big 12 teams, Texas Tech and BYU playing is they're tough. They're tough teams. By the way, yeah, but North Texas got a Tulane. Tulane got the advantage of being home for the American Athletic Championship. I think it's going to be a very good one, but I think I'm rolling with Tulane, man. I think what's the spread on it? I think they got them at like 2. They giving Tulane 2 in this game. North Texas is the favorite in this game. Tulane's the underdog. Don't know how. But dang, might come down to it because North Texas offense is like they score quick, fast team, and they get it in the end zone fast. And Tulane, if they go up on Tulane quick, man, they could win this game. But it should be a good one. All these should be good games, right? BYU at Texas for the Big 12 championship. They faced each other before. This has happened, and it wasn't pretty. It was not pretty. BYU, they the underdog at 13.5 in this one. I think Texas Tech will win this game, but I don't know if BYU is going to let them blow them out again in this one. I don't know. Texas Tech already did that. They've seen a lot that first one. I think it's going to be. I would be beside myself to see a Kalani Sitake team again get blown out again by 13.5. Texas Tech will win the game, but I don't think it's going to be by 13.5. Don't see that happening. They're going to be in for a long ride on that team. They're going to try to hang with them for as long as they can. But it could go that way. Texas Tech is like that. They're like that. But Georgia, Alabama, another rematch, man. Let's get it. Y'all already know Georgia the favorite in this game by 2.5. And don't know, man. Bama got Georgia's number, right? But I think when it comes down to now, Georgia can afford to lose this and still get in, but Bama has to win this game to get in, right? They got to win this, and that's crazy, right? They made the SEC championship, and they got to win to get in. I believe so. I believe that's how that is. Because they're sitting like the 10th seed, and I don't know if it hurts. I don't think it hurts either one of them, but Texas, I think Georgia going to be able to show up this time. I think Georgia's going to have to show up on Alabama this time. Alabama got the team, but I think Georgia's going to show up and they're going to shock Bama in this one. So I'm rocking with the Bulldogs in this one, man. I've been rocking with Indy. I've been rocking Ohio State, and I've been telling y'all they the best. They the best. That's the best defense. Matt Patricia has that defense going crazy. They're 6.5-point favorites. I don't think that Ohio State's going to beat Indiana by 6.5. I don't think that's going to happen. So I definitely would take that 6.5 with Indiana any day, real quick. You're going to give me that period because I don't think that's going to happen. I think that's a 3-point game coming down to the end. Very well the same way that Indiana played kind of Penn State-ish, but because they can pose a threat to Ohio State's defense in a lot of ways. And what Matt Patricia is going to do, Mike Shannon absolutely has Fernando Mendoza ready for that. And then that's why we're definitely going to see that happen in this game. We're going to see what he does in this game. It's going to be great because what Fernando Mendoza is capable of, and what I've been saying, I think we're going to see it in this Ohio State game. He will throw a pick. I hope he doesn't do it in this game because he lets it fly. But this team is built. This team is really built, and they're opportunistic. They got an opportunistic defense. Both defenses are. Both quarterbacks are good. Both running games are good. Great. I think it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a good game. Yep. The over on it's 48.5. I'll be tempted to take that too. But yeah, man, I like Ohio State in Indiana, man. I guess tough one. I told you what I do bet wise, but who wins it? Man, don't know. Tough game. Two teams I like. Tough game because they both got it. But I gotta say Ohio State, man. Ohio State to pull it off. By 3 late. That defense, man. That defense. Matt Patricia. I believe in that. So I'm rolling with it. Duke and Virginia for the ACC championship. Don't know how that happened, but it happened. Right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess, you know what I'm saying? I don't know how that happened, but it happened. So it's there. It happened. Crazy. Everybody needs Duke to beat Virginia, and I think Duke can do it. I think Duke can do it, bro. I think they can, and I'm gonna roll with Duke. I'm gonna roll with Duke to go in there and shock Virginia, man, to get this done. Darren Missa passing that rock. Those receivers, the run game. Manny Diaz having an opportunity to get an ACC championship, man. I think that I'm rolling with them. I'm rolling with Duke in this one. Yes, I am. I think that's the upset of the championship games. I don't think you get an upset nowhere else. Like I really don't honestly don't think so. No, because I honestly do not think so. Because like, is anybody out there shocked if Indiana beats Ohio State? No. Is anybody shocked if Alabama beats Georgia? Georgia beats Alabama? No. I mean, is anybody shocked if BYU beats Texas Tech? I don't think so. You know what I mean? Like I really don't think so. So I think like there's only one upset this week, and it's Duke playing Virginia, and I got Duke. But man, look, you know how I always give it up, y'all. It's the college football recap and picks. Truck and Chubby, man. Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe. I always tell y'all, pray for yourself, pray for each other, pray for me. I'm always praying for y'all out there, man. So I give it up.